Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. Another episode, another battle report, whatever you have it, of Gaming in the Keats. I'm your host Chris, and I'm bringing you the round one of the Titans Fall tournament up in Timonium, Maryland, hosted by our clubmate Chris Wynn. He organized it, and I have to say, he did an absolutely fantastic job of doing so. Um, so, yeah, this is our groups. I think the whole Mid Atlantic, this is our whole like first 3.0 tournament. And so we have people coming down from the Philly area and also from New Jersey, which is really cool. And the best part is we have some new people coming into the Ninth Age to play in this tournament. So that's exciting. So, again, our goal here is to try and grow the community as best we can. But um, yeah, I think we did a good job. But I'm getting ahead of myself, so here, let's get into the lists. All right, my Dread Elves list. I did a list review um, on the whole tournament, and we went through over the matchups and the lists and everything. So you can check that out as well if you want some more insight. But I'll give I'll give a bit more thought on my list right now for this round one, and then you can always refer back to it. But yeah, so I'm doing no magic. I am doing a punch you in the face list. And just overwhelming. The idea is it's a close combat list, and it's just utilizing all the innate rules and synergies that Dread Elves have without any magic support. So it's a hard hitting list. Um, and yeah, we'll see how it gets along. So I'm having a Dread Prince on a Manticore who's a Beastmaster, Extraordinary Specimen for an extra D3 stomps. I have Basalt Infusion because um, that's really just for playing against alchemy. And the Manticore has metal armor, or well, the model does so, or model part does. So I want to give myself a 3-up Aegis against flaming. Yes, I know I don't get the armor benefit, but it's still worth it in my opinion. Considering that there's at least there's three ID lists in this tournament. There's some other alchemy floating around as well. So we have a great weapon with Elven Finesse, super cheap weapon, but makes the Manticore, but makes her still very reliable and difficult to hit because it makes her offense defense 11, which is awesome. She has a 5-up Aegis save, and then she has Dragon's Brew, so she gets a one-use breath weapon, and that's really honestly just to deal with like light troops scouting units that shoot. Um, Cause yeah, or who can like maybe also ambush or get in my back line or just yeah, I need that. That's like a little tech piece. I think otherwise I'd probably just switch it with the potion of healing, but right now I did Dragon's Brew. And then we have two silent assassins. These these characters are I think they're pretty great for the points cost because effectively what they're doing is they're giving my discipline 8 temple militants and spears actually a discipline, or excuse me, I'm saying discipline, a courage 8. It's bumping them up to courage 9 because they still get the benefit from the assassin's courage. Um, Even though it's not a leader, so it just can't be um, it can't have commanding presence, or it can't be my general, whichever it is. But that's still the highest courage in the unit, and it's a model with 5 attacks, offense 9, strength 4, AP 3 with rerolls to wound against characters, and then it's benefiting from the altar, which I'll get to in a moment as well. So they're there to just like do the extra grind damage or soak up a challenge from like a super character. So then I have 34 spears with the sheltering standard, so that's a nice 6-up armor save all the time, unless it's AP4 or better. And that, with a big health pool unit, it's pretty fantastic. Just 15 auxiliaries, bare bones, just some extra shooting, and I sometimes use them to combo charge to to proc the reroll charges. We just have 5 Shadow Riders, and that makes my core exactly at 1,000 points. Um, and going into the rest of the list, we just have 2 big units of Thunderpack. They're going to be rolling around with the Beastmaster, getting their dying blow. They're this unit puts out just a lot of high strength attacks. They only go up to AP2, but there's just so many attacks with hatred, and they get dying blow, and they cause terror, and it's a resilience 5 unit, so that's 18 health points of resilience 5. Um, they're no joke. Like, Thunderpack are awesome right now, at least. I think what really makes them stand out is the Beastmaster rule on the Manticore. But then we go into Temple Militants. I've been really liking Temple Militants, especially with the Sheltering Standard. That makes them surprisingly resilient. They'll benefit 12 inches away from the altar because they have the keyword Temple. And they're like my toolbox unit. Like, they'll receive a cavalry charge. They can take great weapons. They have the Assassin in there to help with more AP and more attacks. This unit does an afflict of -2 to your defensive skill, which is great, especially if they are taking great weapons. In those combats I might need them in. So I think they're just an all-purpose, like, great unit in out of special, for 490 points. Then I have my like little missile unit I like. Well, not I mean I have thunder packs are also missiles here. But this is a nice little, like, these guys help me zone one of my flanks, because of these are the Dread Acolytes. This is the combat version, so now they're offense 7 with paired weapons with Artistry of Death, Strength 3, AP1, and they have a Banner of Discipline, so they can operate independently on the flank. So, and then rounding out the list, we just have a Divine Altar of Nob. So the altar is stubborn, goes in the spears. I don't really intend on using it in the militants, mainly because those GW Witch Elf models are super fiddly and spiky, and I just don't feel like picking out that little space for like the 60 by 120 or whatever it is space that the altar takes up. It's like such a pain in the ass. So I just put it in the spears, even though sometimes it's probably beneficial to have them in the militants. But yeah, the altar gives out that nice 12-inch bubble to the militants and the Dread Acolytes, and then the 6-inch aura of Fury. So the Thunderpack no longer benefit from it, but that's actually, I'm okay with that, because 1, that was ridiculous and super overpowered, and 2, it allows the Thunderpack to be more independent anyway. So that's my list. I'm just going to come at you and hopefully roll better dice. Alright, going into my opponent's list. He's just got body after body after body here. We've got 90 Flagellants, 45 State Militia, so that's the shooting unit. They can take bows or the pistols, which is awesome. 60 light infantry support units, and then 2 big units of spears going up. And then he's got a nice little knightly order knight bust there with a distortion emblem. I think I understand why he took the distortion emblem. I think I might just do stalkers just to be safe with them, but yeah, that makes sense. I get it. Marshal BSB giving out orders with Hero's Heart, so 1 up, armor save, Hero's Heart, and then the Knight Commander, the Witchfire Guard, Light of the Sonnstahl, so I think he has a 1 up armor save and then a 4 up armor save against magical attacks. So the only Aegis save, or sorry, not a 4 up armor, 4 up Aegis against magical attacks. So the only model in my list that has magical attacks is the Manticore. So yeah, I'll go into my thoughts later, but yeah, this is just a lot of meat and potatoes. Alright, with the pregame setups, we're doing map 1, so that's Clearwater Springs. We've got a nice impassable here. We've got ruins. No mystic ruins right now. We got a field, a hill, a forest, water feature, and a fence. Um, the primary is secure target, so you place two objective markers on the midway point of the board, 24 inches apart, and in order to count as scoring it from game turns 3 and onward, um, you have to have at least one scoring unit or 6 inches from the objective, and your opponent has to have none. So that means if I have one scoring unit, my opponent has two scoring units, um, neither of us score that objective. So, Spearhead is where you divide the table into thirds, and I think it's a 9-inch deployment across the board. And then when you get to choose, when you choose deployment, when you choose sides, you also choose which third you get to vanguard, and then um, your opponent cannot choose the same vanguarding side. So, yes. So that being said, my opponent won the roll to choose sides. So my opponent chose the vanguarding side. He chose this side with the ruins, and he gave me the impassable to block me up. And so he chose the left side to vanguard, which I thought was smart because it meant that I could either only vanguard center or in the right side with this impassable. So naturally, I choose the center to be my vanguarding third. Okay, pregame thoughts here. So on a one-on-one fight, like pretty much almost every unit will outfight his units. Um, but he just has way more bodies than I do. So I just have to be very, very strategic about how I approach um, beating him in combat. And so because his army has more chaff, uh, it's going to be a bit more difficult for me to pick my matchups, I think. But we'll see how that actually works out. So what that means is positioning my scoring units and positioning our scoring units are going to be key for the primary because I actually only have two scoring units. Um, and my opponent also, I think my opponent has three scoring units because he has the night bus, and then the two big spear blocks. But that puts both of us in this interesting position of, do we try and fight over one and then just maybe abandon the other, or do we like spread both of our scoring units out and see if we can push one off the other? So I think that's going to be an interesting decision here for both of us. And it's more beneficial for him, I think, to stay more compact because of his courage bubble. It's only 12 inches, and I think I don't know, I think the Knight Commander may be a 10, but I think he might be a 9 at this rate. I can't remember. So my goal in the macro side of things when I'm thinking about approaching this match is to create an overload situation. I'm using soccer terms here, or football, excuse me, my European brethren. Is to create an overload situation on one of the flanks with the Thunder Pack. That's what this list, I think, does really, really well. But the Flagellants are going to be an issue, so that goes into the... I'm kind of getting ahead of myself here, but it goes into the micro side of things. The Flagellants are, like, they're a great answer against my units, but at the same time, my Thunder Pack, I think, can take on the Flagellants the best because of their Resilience 5. Yes, they will still get advantage position and +1 to wound, but at the end of the day, like, I just have, I think I just have so much hitting power that I might be able to crumble, because now Flagellants are unstable, so I might be able to crumble the Flagellants in one turn. We'll see. So I'm going to utilize his lack of courage, ability to get courage on the flanks, which might actually affect his chaffing units too. So we'll see how that pans out. I'm gonna be looking for combo charge opportunities, and I think we'll be looking for combo charging opportunities, and I'm just gonna have to push forward. Like, I don't feel like I need to go first because I need to like get in position and put pressure on my opponent immediately and force him to use his chaff. So that's my plan. Alright, so this is a picture of deployment. This is what I ultimately decided to do. Acolytes on the far left. We got the spears like right on that, right inside the third line here. So spears, auxiliaries, temple militants, first unit of Thunder Pack. So basically the first unit of Thunder Pack up to the spears are my vanguarding units. They vanguard 3 inches. Then I have the Manticore, a unit of Shadow Riders right behind her, or right behind that wing, and then the final unit of Thunder Pack on the right side. So my opponent, I drop for first, and my opponent counters with a unit of State Militia, unit of Halberds, the Night Bus, another unit of Halberds, the big unit of Spears, another unit of Halberds. We got Flagellants, State Militia, Flagellants behind the State Militia, the third unit of Flagellants, and final unit of State Militia, and the final unit of Spears. So I think I'm going to be looking to take advantage of this point here with the Thunder Pack because he doesn't have any scoring to contest this area. Yes, the Flagellants are an issue, but I think because his spear unit is super far out on the right, I might be able to capitalize on this little weak point here in my opponent's list. And then my plan here is to just move up and just kind of create a nice battle line in the center. So you'll see what I do. Game turn 1, I do exactly that. So these units vanguarded up. So I'm right on top. I can be right on top over the hill to see over it. The dancers are unfortunately just outside of that 6-inch range, so they're kind of being like my center point, to either go left or to go right. I'm not sure if I like that right now. I wasn't feeling it, to be honest, in the middle of the game, and I was feeling like this flank was actually a little more exposed than I wanted it to be, although the spears are a great anchor to just kind of to chill on this 6-inch objective here. And then the acolytes move up. I don't really know what I'm doing with them, to be honest. Like, I think because he has this shooting unit over here, I know I wanted to put pressure on this unit because my opponent's secondary requires him to, by the end of the game, have a unit that has a shooting weapon inside a terrain piece. And so this unit clearly, to me, wasn't supposed to chaff, and it was supposed to perhaps play that role. But right now, I'm just being too aggressive with him because he can just, he's light troops, he can just move up and shoot me. And so I think this is just a misplay on my part. But as you can see, I move up as far as I can and wait for my opponent to figure out what to do. And my opponent's turn 1. My opponent moves, as you can see, like so. He keeps his chaff in front. They're probably ready to flee if need be. That's most likely what's going to happen, and then he's forcing me to make a decision. Okay, well, do I go into the to the Flagellants and wait for countercharging because he's relying on the Flagellants to just hold for a turn and then have all the countercharges in the world he wants, which I think is a good play. To just draw me out. So, and everything else, he just moves up, as you can see, just forming a nice battle line, keeping outside of my charge distance here, keeping outside the dancer's charge distance, I believe. And then, at least the Flagellants are within dancer charge distance, but I think he's not too worried if I charge him with just a single unit of dancers. So, he moves up, as you can see. He does a bit of shooting here. I think he kills 1 acolyte. So, alright, on to my turn 2. And we're pulling the trigger. So, this is always a great thought experiment of like, where do you go with your charging units when you have a battle line like this with your opponent, especially when you know that if you're charging like these units, they're not breaking. So this was my decision. I decided to combo charge the 2 Thunder Pack into the first unit of Flagellants, just hoping to just wipe them out. Like, hopefully, because he has to split attacks, I don't take too much damage back in return, and then I'm going to at least overrun into the big unit of spears. Yes, I know they're spears against Swift Stride. It's not the greatest idea, but quite frankly, like, I'd rather go into this unit here than the Flagellants, because I know at least I have a chance of, like, mauling them and then breaking them, and then hopefully overrunning into his other fleeing unit. He was able to shoot one Shadow Rider off with his state militia, but thankfully they survived. So they're getting in the way to chaff these 2 units of Flagellants here. I do have a potential overrun, but we figured out that it was the front. So we'll see if I end up doing it. And then I just kind of position my units like so to kind of face his night bus, keep everything in the front. And then you'll look here. So this is where when you go into a tournament with new rules, it's just making sure you're read up on the rules. And that's going to be a theme of these battle reports that are coming. Because I declared this. Now, my opponent was a great sport about this. He reminded me that, like, this unit gets a stand and shoot. But the difference now with this stand and shoot is that you don't do it during the charge phase. You actually do your stand and shoot when you make, hold on, let me think about it. No, excuse me, back up. You do it during the charge phase, but you don't do it while the unit is away. You do it when the unit comes into base contact with you, and and they don't suffer any penalties. So all of a sudden, I charge into this unit, and he does a stand and shoot, and like kills like 3 other acolytes, which causes a panic, and I fail my rerollable panic check. So I charge, touch him, he shoots me, and then I break. I'm like, crap. That did not go well. Alright, so that's that. But other than that, you can see also the Manticore comes up over on the hill. She's peeking out, just giving herself some options. I probably could have charged with her somewhere else, but I decided to not. I decided to keep her back and just give out that dying blow bubble here. And end result of combat, I blow up the Flagellant unit. I overrun. I didn't take too much damage into return. So I overrun at least with 5 models into the front of the spears. Like, I'm probably going to take some damage back from this, but hey, this is what I got. These are what my units are designed to do. So, well, they're going to take a beating, but dish it out in return. And then this one, I ended up deciding to not overrun into the front of these Flagellants. Yeah, not sure if that was a wise choice, but that was what I chose to do. So just setting up the counter charge here with the chaff. And yeah, that's it. Okay, into my opponent's turn 2. Before I say that, we did check with the TO, but the acolytes did rally at the end of my shooting phase, so they are facing his unit. So that's also interesting, right? Like, because I panic in my charge phase, I panicked, and now with rallies, you do it at the end of the shooting phase. So the acolytes actually do rally on my turn, which is interesting. But yes, so my opponent charges the single unit of Flagellants into this Shadow Rider unit. My opponent moves up with his spears and his support units, just making sure everything is in the front arc. And he's supporting his units with his Knight Commander. Again, making sure I'm outside of charge range of the... Well, no, I think there actually are now in charge range of the spears at this rate, but that's a support unit right there, so if I charge the Night Bus, 1, I don't get my AP bonus from the spears, and 2, his support unit will countercharge me in the flank, and that's not good, because it takes away all my rank bonuses. So, yep, there you have it. That's my opponent's movement phase, just keeping the battle line tight. He keeps this unit over here. He doesn't move them, and he's going to take some more shots onto my acolytes. And he ends up, speaking of which, he ends up killing all but one. This time they do pass their panic. So the banner is the only one who's left. And now he might just have to die for the cause. In close combat, I kill a whole bunch of spears, but he's still steadfast and he sticks, which wasn't too much of a surprise there. But so you see me reforming to get more attacks into his unit. But now I don't have hatred. So we'll see if the Thunderpack can keep grinding down this unit here. Okay, here's where things get tricky. So, order of operations. I decided to charge this unit of Flagellants with my Thunderpack. It was either one or the other, to be honest. Like, not charging wasn't an option, so I figured I might as well just take out as many as I can before I, get screwed by the other unit. Now, order of operations went as follows. Dancers charge his support unit, and he chooses to flee. I choose to redirect into a spear unit. My opponent holds. Next, I charge. This is where it gets interesting. Here's me thinking I'm being clever. I charge my auxiliaries into his support unit across. And that's forcing my opponent to make a decision here. And because I'm charging this support unit, he cannot countercharge my spear unit. So I charge the support unit with the auxiliaries, and then I crisscross and charge the spear unit with my spear unit. And the hopes is I'm going to clip, I'm going to maximize here and clip and have the dancers do all the damage to the spears and have the spear unit just break their steadfast. But as you can see, what ended up happening is the auxiliaries failed their charge. They needed a 3 on a single dice, and I rolled a 2. And what that does is that it blocked the spears from being able to actually connect with his spear unit because they couldn't wheel all the way. And because it was a combo charge, it's not like I have to close the door anymore, so they got rid of that. So this now counts as a failed charge, and now the dancers only make it in, and that being said, that actually allowed the counter charge to go off from his support unit. So at this rate, I'm like, crap. I'm probably going to lose the dancers. So that's not good. And now he's got like an overrun. It's just like, really, really not good here. So in the meantime, I'm using my Dread Acolyte to chaff his knight unit. Now he has to die for the cause. And here I think I misplay my Manticore pretty heavily. I think so. She was on the hill. I think I would have been able to fly her 16 inches into this little gap right here and threaten like flanks of units or stuff like that. And instead I pull her back, and she's outside of charge range of this Flagellant unit, but I pull her back to get dying blow on this unit. This unit, he already swings last with great weapons anyway, so I'm going to attack before him, so it didn't really matter to me. But I think this was a little micro mistake that I could have put myself in a much better position had I just gone into this gap. And as you expect, the dancers eat it. He runs down the dancers with his support unit and actually overruns into my spear unit, and then his parent unit, the spears, they fail to hit the auxiliaries, but it's my turn, so he still gets to charge them anyway. In this situation, as you can see, the Thunderpack break, and they break the his parent unit of spears, but failed to catch them. He just outran my Thunderpack. I think in this combat, he probably should have done a bit more damage because I think we forgot the AP3 to not a charging unit here. So it's very possible that he could have taken off another model. But that's, yeah, we just forgot and only realized it after the game. So, oh, and then you'll also see that his I think his oh gosh. Yeah, his state militia failed to rally on leadership 7 and they ran off the board. Okay, continued close combat. My Thunderpack go freaking nuts. But they crumble the unit down to 2 models. Which allows for the flank charge for the other flagellant unit. So, I mean, they did great, but 2 models are just as valuable now as like 15. Because they just held up my Thunderpack. So, that's not looking good here. Okay, on my opponent's turn 3, he charges the flank of the Thunderpack as you expect. He charges. I decided to hold on this one. I think this was better because I didn't want him also going into the spears. So I wanted my spears to be able to like rinse this unit and then feel free to charge something if I wanted to. So I decided to hold here and force him to take a turn dealing with the auxiliaries. So he charges here, and then he charges the acolyte, as you can see with his night bus. I think I made a mistake here. I could have angled this a bit better. I was worried about like characters charging out, but I think I could have effectively done that without giving him an overrun, and I think I gave him an 11 to get into the spears, which is not good on my part. So, he moves up with his support unit. He doesn't march, but he moves up in the support unit, and then he gets his shooting unit into the ruins right there. And as expected, he breaks the Thunderpack. He actually doesn't kill too well. He gets them down, but they're not below 25. So he needs to do, I think, one more wound actually to get them below 25 to have them be decimated. And my opponent did not roll well on this unit here. So he broke and he failed to catch. And I did get the points for the other whatever you call it, the other flagellant unit. Okay, as you expect, his spear unit breaks and he chooses to run down my auxiliaries here. And I think what happened was I killed the unit below 25%, and then because they broke, they were already decimated. So I just chose to keep my facing the way it was. But then I chose to not charge his parent unit in my turn 4, and I just got marched right in front, so he couldn't charge both his halberds and his knights, because they're both in the front. He wouldn't have been able to do that. So, so this way I'm receiving only the knights, and with the spears, I'm curious to see how it goes. I'm feeling pretty confident that the spears can handle the knights, especially with the assassin in there, and all this just like static combat. And then I decide to his spears, of course, rallied in his turn, and I decide to charge his spears again. They hold this time, so I'm charging back in to get rid of the unit. And then my Manticore charges the flank of the Flagellants. I think normally you'd probably be like, no, don't do that. You're throwing away the Manticore. You're just going to get stuck there. But, this comes up later, but in terms of the 3.0 rules, but I actually think I'm okay with this decision in the long run, and you'll see why. My Thunderpack do rally during my shooting phase, and I turn to face them so I can barely see. My intention was to barely to be able to see Flagellants if I needed to, and see the spears. So that's how I turned them like so. Okay, this is where it's also possible that I missed a turn. I don't know. I was looking through the pictures and I'm not 100% sure. But you'll see what ends up happening. So yeah, Thunderpack, they just annihilate the spears. And the Manticore, she, crushes a bunch of Flagellants. However, because they're unruly, they their command check is on a minimized roll, and my opponent fails to do the command reform. So we're still sitting in the flank with the Flagellants. So I'm pretty happy about that. Okay, on my opponent's turn 4, he does charge the spears because what else is he gonna do? I think he's trying to take out the altar with his Sonnstahl person, and just do a bunch of damage to me. And then, I'm probably still gonna stick, but now he has like counter charges lined up with his halberds, and he turns around his parent unit so he can also charge the rear. So my spear unit is getting surrounded, and I'm like feeling this ticking time bomb of like, oh god, like I hope I can break this unit here. So yeah, and in other news, he rallies his other halberd unit. They do end up rallying, but like I didn't mention this, but his other state militia unit that had fled continued to flee off the board as well. So my Thunderpack has caused a lot of damage to my opponent's right side, which is great, and they're still maintaining their points. So I'm very happy with them right now, but I'm pretty nervous about this situation. So let's see what happens. So in combat, this was a total whiff fest. Like, I do a bunch of wounds to his unit, but he makes all of his armor saves. It doesn't matter. My spears don't do anything. It's the altar that actually puts wounds on the unit. And then my assassin gets in I challenge with my assassin, and he accepts with the BSB. And then his BSB does a wound to my assassin, and then I do a wound back to his BSB. So, all in all, like, I'm stubborn, I'm steadfast, and like, even though I think I lose combat here, I stick. So I'm like, whew, okay. So, and I have one more round of combat to break this unit. And of course, as you can see here, my opponent fails the command test again with the combat here with the Flagellants. So I am grinding down this unit, trying to get their points, and I'm feeling pretty happy about that. So again, I'm not 100% sure. I believe this is my turn 5. I labeled it as my turn 5, but it's possible that we missed a turn. I know we played 6 turns, but you'll see that effectively this was. Well, we'll see. We'll keep going here, but essentially my Thunderpack charged his spears because what I was worried about is him doing one of two things: pushing me off the objective here, or saying, well, he'd already turned around his spear, so yeah, I was just really worried about that. And so I was like, I could lose this Thunderpack unit, but I could also terror check the spears, which would be fantastic. And sure enough, I do. They cause a terror check. He fails it. It's just, command 7, and he doesn't flee very far. And because they've already lost health points to them, the Thunderpack get a reroll charge, and they catch them, which is awesome. So the Thunderpack catch the spear unit and then turn to face this way. Yeah, and my other Thunderpack at this rate, they're just chilling. They're gonna save their points. And so really the combat, everything's just kind of focused in on this one moment here. I think at this rate I've had like from points 3 onward. No, I think I've actually had the objective by like 1 point earlier. but I can't quite remember. So we'll see what happens in the combat. And this is just a close-up of my assassin. Her nickname is Buffy because I painted her in the first battle she got. She was an assassin and took out one of my friend's vampire counts. So she's now Buffy. And she's been with me since like version 1.2, I think, like way, way back. So she's in this challenge with the BSB and she takes him out. She spikes on her battle focus and my opponent doesn't make an armor save and the BSB goes down, which is massive. So that's now all of a sudden 3 wounds, plus taking out one of his combat resolutions, and the Knight's Break. Oh my goodness. I think the altar also did 2 other wounds to his knight unit, and then he fled through the dangerous terrains. This unit stays around, they don't panic, but he also lost I think he lost 1 or 2 more from the ruins. And so I chose to not pursue because I knew it was my opponent's turn, and even though this is my big spear unit, taking a flank charge from this halberd unit, I think actually would have like lost me my spear unit and potentially lost me the game. But yeah, I chose to just stick, reform, and just hold this objective because this halberd unit is not scoring. So we're going to go into my opponent's final turn, and the Knight Commander's unit does, in fact, rally at the end of the game. So I know we played 6 turns, even though I don't think I have that picture. I think my opponent just decided to just back away and conserve points at that rate. That being said, I very comfortably hold the objective at the end of the game, thanks to the spears and thanks to Buffy taking out that BSB. Good job, Buffy. And that means it's a Dread Elf victory. It is a total of 16-4. So my opponent did get his secondary, and I did not, because we tied in terms of number of flags I had on the field. So it's a 16-4, but I got the primary, and that includes the primary points in there. So the units I lost in the game were the 1 assassin, a unit of auxiliaries, the dancers, and the acolytes. My opponent lost his BSB, both units of spears, 1 unit of halberds, all units of flagellants, and 2 units of state militia. So thanks again, Dan, for just a great and fun game. It was just an absolute blast to play you, and just play against your incredibly painted army that I'll get to in a moment at the end of this battle report. But thank you, Dan. That was fantastic. All right, so the post-game thoughts I have here are, I'm still not quite happy with the deployment. I think I could have made the Manticore more central and put the 2 units of Thunderpack more out on the flanks, although I did enjoy the vanguarding. Otherwise, I could have just said, maybe we just reverse it and just say, you know what, if I'm vanguarding in the center, I put both units of Thunderpack there, I can just try and push through the center instead of one of the flanks. So maybe that could have been something I've done differently. But yes, I was happy to go first despite the fact that I was scoring the objective at the end. It's important for this list to really put pressure on your opponent. I think because there isn't a lot of ranged, and there's really not a lot of ranged. So you really have to just like kind of force your opponent to react to you in this case. I think my decision making could have been better. I certainly like kind of fumbled around like which units to charge, and that's actually like a strength of my opponent's list, because he has so many different units that you really have to be careful of what units you're charging, and be wary of the counter charges. I do want to also shout out a great sportsman moment. at the end of the game where he fled, where my opponent fled with his spear unit when I charged him with the Thunderpack, and I was like, oh, well, I guess I'll just go into the Flagellants, and then my opponent, he asked, he's like, are you sure? Like, you might be just giving up half points for that, and then I realized, oh, you know what, you're right, and I asked him if I could just continue to charge into the spears, and my opponent allowed that, so that was a great sportsman moment, again, for my opponent, and I really appreciate that. Um, so, um, going back into just the macro side of things, and this is a theme throughout these next several battle reports, but not being 100% of the 3.0 rules like really hurt me. Like it really, I think that kind of ties into the decision making point, because I'm still learning this rule set, and we weren't even playing the most up to date rule set. There was a vote for the tournament of which one we'd be playing, um, and so it wasn't the most up to date. Um, so yeah, that was definitely, there was definitely some moments in this tournament where I was just like caught completely off guard by some new rule changes. Um, and so that stand and shoot situation was definitely one of them. But yeah, in terms of the micro thing, I think I misplayed the Manticore pretty, you know, like not taking advantage of that moment to be aggressive with her. I think I could have put more pressure and gotten more points from my opponent's units. Um, I think, it was just unlucky to fail that charge with the auxiliaries. Like that would have been like, I think, very, very game breaking, because I would have overran. My plan was to overrun or just stick with the auxiliaries, either way, with his halberds, but it's like, because they're so wide, they'd be blocking his knight unit from countercharging me. And like I just wanted to break that spear unit with both the dancers and my spears, and like basically kind of secure that objective, and hopefully surround his knight unit. But yeah, and then like I said, throw away the acolytes. That was just dumb. That was just really dumb. So, all right, going into just like the hobby element, I really want to showcase Dan's army. Just a fantastic opponent to play against. I'm really happy I got to play him again, and his army is a Dogs of War themed army. So it's just an amazing display board, just amazing hobbyist all around, just fantastic. So take a look. And yeah, again, you can pause the video. Look at those banners are just fantastic, like so well done. I'm cheesing. And then we got, oh yeah, these are the Flagellants over here. All of his Flagellants are just looking awesome. Got his spears. Oh, he got him on the bridge. Oh, it's so good. And yeah, thanks for watching so much. So I have some pictures I'll post in like maybe the tournament wrap up, but my opponent and I, so as it turns out, my opponent actually lived in Germany for a bit himself, and as a joke, but seriously, I brought two of my old German steins I had gotten, not from Germany specifically, but I think they're antiques that were passed down in my family. So I brought the steins and some beer. Dan brought some beer, and so after this match, we just like we hung out in the parking lot with just other friends, and just drank from out of our German steins. So yeah, thanks everyone again for watching. Like and subscribe if you're a dog of war, and yeah, I'll catch y'all in the next one. Ciao, ciao for now.